Number 10. Arana. Arana is definitely one of the most random alternates for Wonder Woman. She was an Amazon who only made a few appearances in the comics in the Earth 1 continuity and would take the Wonder Woman mantle from Diana after beating her in a contest of champions. Arana was very skilled and did beat Diana, which is why I thought it was relevant to include her here. Though it should also be noted that she mainly won, especially the last contest, because Diana's concern for the safety of others slowed her down. While Hippolyta initially proclaimed her daughter the victor of the contest due to her heroism, the gods disagreed and made Arana the winner instead. Diana chose to accept their will and handed over the position and title to Arana. Arana, however, would prove to be out of her league when she ventured into man's world, mainly failing as Wonder Woman due to her stubbornness and a string of misunderstandings. She was still pretty strong though. And of course, she was still the rightful victor of the contest, and for that, I thought she might be a cool alternative to highlight. Arana's story as Wonder Woman takes place over the course of 2 issues from Wonder Woman 250 to issue 251. Arana would also inspire a follow-up red-headed Wonder Woman character who would appear later on in the comics. Not inspire her as a person, but just inspire that character to exist. Number 9. Earth 2 Wonder Woman. Earth 2 Wonder Woman was the first version of the character we were introduced to in the comics, with her making her very first appearance back in 1942 in All-Star Comics issue number 8. This version of Diana would have tons of gadgets, including her earrings, which granted her whatever amount of oxygen she needed to survive, no matter where she was, gave her enhanced hearing, allowed her to survive without needing to consume food, and she could use them as a communication device, communicating at one point with the leader of Venus. That is a very versatile accessory. Although she was very strong and had various gadgets at her disposal to enhance her abilities, Diana did still possess the weakness that if she was bound by any man, she would lose all of her power. However, being bound by a woman, at least, doesn't have that effect, and as soon as Wonder Woman can get free, her powers do return to her. Also, good luck trying to bind Wonder Woman. I feel like that would be challenging. And friends, before we move on to our next spot, if you are loving this list and you want more Wonder Woman lists, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Artemis. Back in the New Earth days, there was a time when Artemis became the new Wonder Woman. Artemis is from the Bana Migdal tribe of Amazons who hail from Egypt. Artemis would become Wonder Woman after Hippolyta had a vision of the hero dying, and not wanting her daughter to die, decided to challenge the fates by electing a new Wonder Woman. Artemis managed to win this contest and as such became the new Wonder Woman, being given magical artifacts of her own, including the Gauntlet of Atlas, which multiplied her strength by 10-fold, the Sandals of Hermes, which granted her swiftness and flight, and of course the Lasso of Truth. Artemis stood apart from Diana as Wonder Woman, but was less respected due to her violent approach to heroics and her more edgy past. Also, sadly, it turned out that Hippolyta's vision would still come true, with Artemis later dying while carrying the mantle. Don't worry though, she would be resurrected, as is usually the way with comic book characters. Artemis was also that other red-headed Wonder Woman who Arana's story and character design likely paved the way for. Number 7. A Future State Wonder Woman. I think we can safely say that Yara Flor was a pretty powerful Wonder Woman when we got to peer into the future in Future State, and get a preview of Yara taking up that mantle. Yara herself, like Diana, is an Amazon, but one who comes from a different Amazonian tribe who split off from the women who reside on Themyscira. Her tribe is known as the Amazons of the Amazon, and like Wonder Woman, Yara herself is a demigod and as such possesses divine empowerment. She is super strong, super fast, and can fly, and even if she couldn't fly, she would have her winged horse Jerry to back her up. Yara Flor also possesses her own kind of Lasso of Truth, known as the Golden Boleadoris, which works a little differently. The Golden Boleadoris gives her control over her lassoed opponents, compelling them to bend to her will, which means she can not only compel them to tell the truth, but can also compel people to act as she wills them to. Number 6. Flashpoint Wonder Woman. Definitely one of the scariest alternates of Wonder Woman out there, this alternate version is specifically an alternate version of Diana herself and hails from the Flashpoint timeline. A dark timeline indeed. Here Diana, the Amazons, and Themyscira are at war with Aquaman and Atlantis. In the animated film Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox, this version of Wonder Woman is at war with Aquaman because she killed Mera, after the Queen found out about her and Aquaman having an affair. Whereas in the comics, it was the assassination of Diana's mother, Hippolyta, at the hands of an Atlantean during her and Aquaman's political wedding that started the conflict. But what both versions have in common, regardless regardless of how the conflict started, is that they are both ruthless, bloodthirsty, and determined in their war against Atlantis.
At number 5 we have Nubia from Future State. First appearing a long time ago in 1973's Wonder Woman number 204, Nubia is introduced as the twin sister to Diana, who also happens to qualify for the title of Wonder Woman. But years later, during Future State Immortal Wonder Woman, Nubia returns in full Wonder Woman attire as though she's been doing it for years. A new announcement in Infinite Frontier number 0 shows readers what DC has in mind for Wonder Woman's future, seemingly introducing Nubia as one of the 2 new heroes to don the Wonder Woman mantle. What's more is Nubia also gets her own graphic novel back in February of 2021, which explores her upbringing set in a modern human world. At number 4 we have the Diana from Wonder Woman Evolution. This is the most recent future version of Wonder Woman on this list, currently being published in 2022. This futuristic storyline tells the story of Wonder Woman being taken away from Earth by a distant cosmic entity and forced to face off in challenges to prove the worthiness of Earth and its inhabitants, and the stakes to allow Earth to continue existing in the universe. There isn't much to be said about this version of the hero because she's just kind of getting started, but we can confirm that she is kicking ass and taking no prisoners as she continues to fight as Earth's delegate. And whatever this situation ends up building up to will be determined as the year goes on. So keep up with Wonder Woman Evolution. Get a copy now, there's only 8 issues out so far. At number 3 we have Wonder Woman from Wonder Woman Dead Earth. This version of the hero is faced with a dismal future after waking up from a centuries-long sleep. She wakes to the world in an apocalyptic state inhabited by mutated beings known as the Hydra. But considering how far into the future it is, Diana's JLA partners are all long gone and she's forced to face this brutal future wasteland on her own. The story is only told in 4 issues, but it takes on a grittier approach to the character of Wonder Woman, depicting her as much less dignified and put together than usual. But she manages to pull together her inner strength, and with the help of a deceased Batman's utility belt, she goes on into the wasteland to face off against massive beasts, partake in a gladiatorial arena, and eventually come into contact with a withered, robotic Superman, who actually helps in giving Diana a final boost of power to defeat a massive Hydra beast. It's one of the more unique depictions of the character on the list, and just in general, with some great artwork too. Go take a look if you haven't already. At number 2 we have Cassandra Sandsmark from the Titans of Tomorrow. Known more commonly as Wonder Girl, Cassandra does indeed have a run as Wonder Woman in the future. First seen in Teen Titans Volume 3, Issue 17, the Titans of Tomorrow come about after a present-day version of the Teen Titans from New Earth travel 10 years into the future and see a grim reality. The USA has been split into East and West, and their future selves have adopted a more relentless approach to justice. And during what's known as a Great Crisis, most of Earth's main heroes have died, leaving jobs open for these future Titans. Even though this is a more brutal version of Wonder Woman, it is interesting to see Cassandra take on the mantle, and it seems like there are no 2 ways about it. No matter what the modern Teen Titans try to do to change the timeline so that they don't turn out as more brutal versions of themselves, it doesn't work. Finally, at number 1 we have Yara Flor. Yara is from the tribe of the Amazons and actually comes from the heart of the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. She is first introduced as the new Wonder Woman back in 2020 as part of Future State, which shows us a new lineup of DC heroes moving forward into the future. This character has also been established as Wonder Girl in Infinite Frontier number 0, but with all the heroes that DC is planning on rebooting for this new wave, we still haven't gotten a full-fledged backstory for Yara quite yet. The best we have so far is a 2-part series called Future State Wonder Woman, but we're looking forward to it because Yara is a true departure for the character. DC seems to be bringing human culture into the origins of Wonder Woman for a new generation of readers, which I think will be cool to watch unfold. Also, she's just a cool new hero that many people online have been showing quite a lot of excitement about, including myself. There's not a ton to be said about Yara as Wonder Woman, but you can catch up with her adventures in the 2-part series released in January 2021.
Number 10, Etta and Vicky Trevor. These 2 hail from a very dark reality, the alternate Earth number 34 from the DC multiverse. Here, Wonder Woman's home was invaded by the British military and she ended up being enslaved and taken away when she was young, kidnapped, and brought to London, where she grew up poor on the streets. Eventually, she was taken in by the evil Captain Stephen Trevor of the universe, who paraded her around as an Amazonian oddity, profiting off of her and eventually also marrying her. Because I guess that's what you do when you profit off of someone in London in this evil time. The couple had 2 children together, and while we don't know if they discovered their powers, we can assume they eventually would, as Diana herself did, and use them to oppose an evil king and save those who cannot save themselves, becoming known as the hero Wonder Woman. Number 9. John. John is pretty young still on the alternate world of Earth 31, the Dark Knight Returns reality, but it is still possible he could grow up to be stronger than most on this list. Still, because he's so young is why he's getting ranked so low to start us off. John is the son of Wonder Woman and Superman, and there is a good chance that he will become just as powerful, possibly even more powerful than his sister, who already is known for her strength and abilities in this reality. He's got a lot of potential, basically. And my friends, before we move on to the next spot, if you are loving this list as much as I am loving giving it to ya, then please be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 8. Wonder Girl. Wonder Girl is Stephanie Trevor, the daughter of Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman from the alternate Earth of 3839. She first appeared in Superman and Batman Generations 2, issue number 1. She was created by John Byrne. I love Byrne, by the way. She was actually born the same year as Superman and Lois Lane had their daughter in this reality, Kara Kent. In the future, she'd go on to take over her mother's mantle of Wonder Woman. Her powers are similar to those of her mother. She has a divine empowerment that gives her godlike agility, strength, and durability due to her Amazonian heritage and due to being Diana's daughter. Number 7. Hunter Prince. Hunter Prince comes to us from Justice League Legacy. Initially, people were not sure who Hunter's father was, with many speculating that it could be Superman or Batman. However, in truth, his dad was less of a man or super and more of a cosmic entity known as the Darkness. It was because of the fear within Diana after her exposure to the darkness that caused her to conceive Hunter. After being born, Diana entrusted friends Superman and Lois Lane to raise her son, but Hunter would come to believe that Diana had given him up because he was a boy, creating tension between him and her when they met after he'd traveled back in time. Hunter, like many of Wonder Woman's other children, possesses godlike superhuman abilities due to him being born of an Amazon. But I don't think we consider him an Amazon because he's a guy. I don't know. Maybe Hunter's like the first male Amazon. I like to think of it that way. Number 6. Fury. This daughter of Wonder Woman hails from pre-crisis Earth 2, and her name is Hippolyta Trevor. Her nickname would become Lita, and she would take on the superhero name of Fury. However, this was Lita's story pre-crisis, and post-crisis, she would have her origins changed completely, with her no longer being the Wonder Woman of Earth 2's daughter, as Wonder Woman of Earth 2 had basically been erased from existence. However, there was a time when she was the daughter of Diana and her love Steve Trevor, and while Fury's character was changed, you can still go back and actually read stories from that previous continuity before the reset happened. Lita was known for her super jumping powers, her super strength, and her godlike agility. She was also a super skilled combatant being trained by her mother.
Number 5. Etta and Vicky Trevor. These two appear in Wonder Woman Amazonia in 1998. They're only children in the story, and they only appear in a couple of scenes, but they're still Wonder Woman's children. This is a tragic version of the beloved Wonder Woman story. When Diana was only 3, a Royal Air Marines squadron led by Captain Stephen Trevor crash lands in the ocean, and they discover Paradise Island. They slaughter the Amazonians and take Diana away, who is later sold to a workhouse. She grows up on the streets of London in a poor district. Later in life, Stephen Trevor, wicked and evil in this universe, takes her in off of the streets and into his Museum of Oddities, and he also marries her. He was abusive and unkind to her. She once saved the life of King Jack Planters, and later adopts the heroic persona of Wonder Woman, secretly organizing a resistance against Jack the Ripper and his men, the cruel King Jack of England, a misogynist who suspended women's rights and established a harsh patriarchy. It's a seriously dark alternate universe. She eventually takes down the evil king and her crappy husband, who ends up going insane, and she marries the king's son later, Prince John Charles. It's a real roller coaster that sort of has a happy ending. Number 4. Donna of Amazon, aka Fury. This is Fury's new and improved version from DC's New 52. Her name is Donna, daughter of Wonder Woman and the new god Steppenwolf of Apocalypse. She is the last of the Amazons, as all the rest of them died during the invasion of Earth 2. She acted as Steppenwolf's main enforcer until Mr. Miracle convinces her to join forces. She is super powerful, having gone toe-to-toe with Big Barda and even Supergirl. After the events of Convergence, She becomes the Wonder Woman of Earth 2. She's a little more violent and warlike than her mother. At the end of Earth 2 society, she uses Pandora's box to reshape Earth 2 into a classic Golden Age era World War II setting, but with fancy technology and the absence of any international crises or supervillains. Number 3. Lara. First appearing in March 2002, Lara is the future Supergirl, daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman. She has both Kryptonian and Amazon powers inherited from her parents. She grew up on Paradise Island, not knowing much of her father, as her parents wanted to protect her from the likes of Lex Luthor and Brainiac, as Superman knew they would wind up trying to control her. Later in life, she does eventually reveal herself during an open war against Brainiac, and she helps to defeat him. She played a pivotal role in the battle against Quar, tossing him directly into the sun to prevent him from performing a nuclear self-destruct that would likely have destroyed the entire Earth. 2 months later, we discovered that she actually survived this event and is living with her brother in downtown Metropolis. Number 2. Bruce Kent. Bruce is the son of Superman and Wonder Woman, and appeared in Superman Distant Fires in 1998. He became the last son of Earth, as he was sent off into space by Superman using a makeshift starship at the end of the whole story. Superman Distant Fires features a world in conflict. Armageddon has occurred, with entire populations wiped out, and radiation has robbed Earth's heroes and villains of their superpowers. Clark Kent is one of the few survivors of this apocalypse, fighting off giant rats and atomic mutants without any superpowers. He eventually meets another group of survivors that includes Flash, Bill Batson, and even the Joker, who has been cured of his insanity as everyone has lost their powers. Wonder Woman is there too, and the two are married and have the child Bruce together. Number 1. Hunter Prince. Hunter was birthed by Wonder Woman, but fathered by the Darkness, a cosmic force that comes to Earth after the Kindred battle against the Justice League. Hunter was adopted by Superman and Lois Lane, who Diana trusted the most to protect and love her son. Hunter, however, thinks that he was given away for being a boy. He was raised by the Kents and trained with them, as well as some other super children. The Darkness eventually starts devouring the world though, and Diana simply can't contain it. The superheroes decide to hide their children on Mount Olympus, which was abandoned by the Olympian gods, and the Kents are then killed by the Darkness. When Hunter later emerges, he finds a desolate world and does what he can to help those who remain. Later, he travels back in time 20 years to seek help from the Justice League, eventually reuniting with Diana and confronting her about abandoning him. And Superman allows him to stay at his home.
Number 10. She's coming to the CW. Marking the first Latina superhero title character of a DC series, Yara Flor is coming to the CW as a TV series. So it was announced back in November 2020 that producer Greg Berlanti will be behind the project, with Queen of the South producer and co-showrunner Dalen Rodriguez writing the pilot. Berlanti produced The Flash and Arrow, and also brought us DC's first Black-led series, Black Lightning, and first LGBTQ superhero, Batwoman. So the introduction of Yara Flor into the CW is something we're truly looking forward to. No casting announcements have been made yet, but we're expecting something within the next couple of months as the comic begins to grow and grow. Who would you cast as the new Wonder Woman? Let us know your thoughts down below, because we love reading those as well. And before we move on to number 9, if you guys could go ahead and toss this video a thumbs up, that would help us out so much here at the studio. Thank you so much, you guys are the best. Now back to more Yara Flor. Number 9, Joelle Jones. With a new character comes a new origin story. So who is behind Yara Flor? Who is the writer to bring her to life? Joelle Jones. The first issue, titled Hell to Pay, was written by Joelle Jones with Jordi Belair on colors. She made her first publication with Madame Zandu Volume 2, Issue 19, back in 2010. And the look of Yara Flor was actually inspired by the Brazilian indigenous model, Suan Moreira. She's an Eisner-nominated artist and began writing and drawing her own series titled Lady Killer, brought to us by Dark Horse. So if you're a fan of the storytelling and design in those pages, Yara Flor is a must-read. She's also no stranger to the DC Comics world either, providing art for numerous titles like Adventures of Superman, Batman 66, Superman American Alien, and Supergirl being super. Number 8. More Wonder Woman. On January 5th, Future State Wonder Woman began, now of course being part of DC's Future State event that runs through February. But we also get to see an older version of Diana Prince as well at the end of her time. and this begins with future state immortal Wonder Woman. We will also see Yara cross paths with Superman and other future state big hitters. So if you're a casual reader, this is the perfect time to brush up on a little bit of Wonder Woman's history and follow along as she makes new allies, enemies, and shapes history along the way. Number 7. Where does it take place? The CW's upcoming Wonder Girl show has been rumored to be attached to DC's Titans. Now this is unlikely to be true. See, following Crisis on Infinite Earths event, we saw every DC TV series smashed together and it was glorious. And now, the Titans story has gone back and returned to its own Earth 9. So it's likely the Wonder Girl series will be set in its own parallel world, similar to what Stargirl is doing. Or it will take place in the Arrowverse beside the main CW lineup. Who knows? What are your thoughts? Number 6. Jerry? We all love a trusty sidekick, and when it comes to winged horses, well, you better be talking about Jerry. Her transportation method is a pretty cute one. See, when Yara first cries out for the noble steed, he is nowhere to be seen. She yells his name in the middle of taking down a massive Hydra. "Where is that stupid animal?" she says. And it turns out Jerry is elsewhere. He's just drinking some water, hanging out, enjoying the breeze, just being Jerry, you know? And then leaving it until last minute, he finally arrives to carry Yara to safety. Or rather, to carry Yara even closer to the Hydra to get a better hit, you know, to take it down. So Jerry has some words of advice, but that's up to you to put it together. Yara can understand him, and all the readers get is we or re. You know, classic horse talk.
Number 5. Frank Miller's Wonder Woman. Hopefully we all know who Frank Miller is, you know, the writer of The Dark Knight Returns and Daredevil Born Again. Well, Miller also took a crack at the character that is Wonder Woman in his Batman series The Dark Knight Strikes Back. In this series, heroes like Superman, Wonder Woman, and Captain Marvel have been forced to work for the government, since their loved ones are being held hostage and are under threat. Superman is even ordered by the president, who turns out to be a computer-generated front for Lex Luthor and Brainiac, to stop Batman. It eventually gets to the point in the story where Superman, Wonder Woman, and their daughter Lara joins forces with Batman once again because they deem his plan to be the only way to get out of this whole mess. Now I'll be honest, this Wonder Woman isn't on this list today because of how dark the story is. It's mostly because this is considered to be one of the worst incarnations of Wonder Woman to date. Now she's definitely the warrior you expect from Wonder Woman, but her cold and quite frankly sexist portrayal in the comics was nothing short of distasteful. It also doesn't help that her humanity was put in question throughout the entirety of the graphic novel. If you feel like you can stomach it, check out this Wonder Woman and this whole series starting with 2002's The Dark Knight Strikes Again, number 1. Number 4. Wonder Woman God of War. Following 2011's Flashpoint event, DC rebooted the entirety of its continuity into the New 52. In the new Wonder Woman, the story of Hippolyta creating Diana from clay is revealed to actually be a lie, and Diana is actually a child of Zeus, and the whole clay bit was a cover story intended to keep Zeus's jealous wife Hera from killing her. Sometime later during her training, Diana became the secret protege of Ares, the god of war, only to have him drop her when she refused to kill for him. Years later, after Diana learned her true origin, she found herself embroiled in the power struggles of her Olympian kin. In the course of one adventure, she had to kill Ares, which made her the new god of war, and although she fought against the role for a while, as the battle against the monstrous firstborn of Zeus heated up, she stepped right into the job. Honestly, who knows what Wonder Woman creator William Marston would have made of this, given that he wrote her as this force of peace and this nemesis of the god of war. He might be happier with the events in DC Rebirth, which implies that the whole, Diana's New 52 adventures didn't actually happen. Number 3. Superwoman. I feel like we all knew this alternate Wonder Woman was going to end up on this list today. Hailing from Earth 3, the Earth that is said to be the birthplace of evil, Superwoman is a renegade Amazon who has also taken on the identity of Lois Lane, depending on the version that we're talking about here. Depending on her origin, she is either from Paradise Island or its antimatter equivalent known as Damnation Island. While there are many versions of her out there, one thing that they all have in common is her sadistic personality and the love triangle she has with her colleagues. Equipped with a lasso of submission, a barbed and much scarier looking version of the lasso of truth that forces the captor to not only comply with the user, but also fall in love with them, which she has used a few times to her advantage, if you know what I mean. As a member of the crime syndicate, she helped imprison most of the members of the various Justice Leagues in the Firestorm Matrix and began a reign of terror over the world, eliminating any resistance in their way. Give her story a read for yourself, starting with 1964's Justice League of America number 29, or skip ahead to 2013's Justice League Volume 2, number 23. Number 2. Injustice Wonder Woman. Easily one of the most dark and evil versions of Wonder Woman out there. Not only did she see Superman's descent into evil before it ever happened, but she also actively encouraged it, practically manipulating the Man of Steel when he was at his worst for her own personal gain. Not only that, but by the events of the original Injustice video game, she had been ruling Paradise Island with an iron fist and showed absolutely no remorse. She served as Superman's right hand and took the place of Lois Lane as his new love interest. However, he clearly showed no love towards her because he was still mourning the loss of his dead wife, who he killed himself. When she is confronted by her mainstream counterpart, the mainstream Wonder Woman reprimands her for blindly following a man who does not feel as much devotion to her as she does to him. And once Wonder Woman is defeated, she is taken by her fellow Amazons to be imprisoned for her role in the regime and is later seen on Kahndaq during the events of Injustice 2 as she has been exiled. Take a look at her story for yourself, starting with 2013's Injustice Gods Among Us #1, or honestly just feel free to replay the games. And finally, #1, Flashpoint Wonder Woman. When the Flash accidentally created Flashpoint as a result of attempting to save his mother, the ripple effects changed the timeline to the worst it's ever been. You know, Batman is Thomas Wayne, Superman is in a government facility, and Wonder Woman is the monarch of the Amazons and currently at war with Atlantis, all because she killed Aquaman's wife, who knew Wonder Woman was having an affair with her husband. With all of the normal powers and accessories that make Wonder Woman a formidable foe, this iteration of Wonder Woman seems to lack the empathy that prevents Diana from absolutely losing it and killing everyone. As the war went on, Aquaman and Wonder Woman forged an alliance to take down a mutual enemy, Batman. As both monarchs send their troops to Batman's lair, the world is erased, killing every single inhabitant. Absolutely cruel and bloodthirsty, this Wonder Woman has something that she shares with her Injustice counterpart: her lack of love, and above all, her sickening lack of humanity. Now, I love the Flashpoint timeline with all of my heart, so why not check it and her out for yourself, starting with 2011's Flashpoint Volume 2, #1.
At number 10, we have Wonder Woman from the Kingdom Come storyline. In Kingdom Come, Diana has the same origin as the Wonder Woman we know, also serving in the Justice League alongside Superman and Batman. But in the future, Batman has retired and the world has become darker and unforgiving. Diana herself even loses sight of her moral values and becomes less ethical in her heroic practices. Due to this shift in her practice, she is then exiled from Paradise Island and forced to reform on her own. And as the story progresses, she is the one who regularly visits Superman in his Fortress of Solitude and convinces him to return to heroism to help the crisis in Kansas. If you don't know this storyline, the crisis that I refer to is the culmination of a relentless new generation of heroes getting into a dangerous conflict with the governments of the world. With Wonder Woman's approach to justice still coming off as a bit harsh, Superman is hesitant to work with her at first, but eventually they do much more than work together. They actually get married and have 5 kids. At number 9, we have Lois Lane from Superman/Wonder Woman, Whom Gods Destroy. In this Elseworlds tale, we see a world occupied by depicting what would happen if the Third Reich was never defeated during World War II. And the Nazi ideology even poisons the ranks of the superhero community, turning the original Diana, aka Wonder Woman, into a herself. But during a battle between the Greek pantheon and the Athena is sacrificed, which somehow endows an aging Lois Lane with powers, leading her to take on the mantle of Wonder Woman herself. While this is going on, Superman gets turned into a Minotaur, and regular Superman gets turned into a woman. Once again, I don't understand why or how this happens, but she then infiltrates the Great Hall of the Reich, while this new Lois Lane Wonder Woman takes down the brainwashed Wonder Woman and ties her up with her magic lasso. It's a strange story, but hey, a future version of Wonder Woman that's actually a superpowered Lois Lane fighting. That's pretty badass. At number 8, we have Diana from Immortal Wonder Woman as part of Future State. In the future, Diana hasn't aged due to her Amazonian physiology, and we witness her recounting the experiences of visiting an apparition of a long-dead Batman as well as an aged Superman. After watching Superman disappear into the sun during a battle with Darkseid, the sun explodes in front of her and she has to make a decision whether or not to give up and die there and then. But instead of giving in, she brings life to a new future and a new hope for future generations of superheroes. We're then teased with a short sequence showing what a future version of Wonder Woman could be, as Nubia seems to take on the mantle at the end of the 2-part series, but more on her later. At number 7 is the Wonder Woman from DC 1,000,000. This is definitely the most futuristic version of the hero on this list, living in the 853rd century. She is a member of the Justice Legion Alpha and is actually made of marble, possessing enhanced intellect and even telepathy. First appearing in DC 1,000,000 #1, this Wonder Woman is teleported to an unknown planet by a being named Telos, where she and a number of other heroes are faced with opposition in the form of Luthor bots, which take out many of the heroes. But she survives and is finally teleported once more to face off against the crime syndicate, where she is defeated by Superwoman. This is a pretty far-fetched and bizarre storyline, but hey, it's over 80,000 years in the future, so what else would we expect? At number 6, we have Wonder Woman, aka God of War, from Wonder Woman Future's End. This version of the hero is one of the most relentless but also tragic versions on the list. In the New 52, Future's End, we witness events taking place 35 years into the future when there is a massive takeover by an AI known as Brother Eye. The corpses of fallen superheroes are taken over by nanotechnology, including that of Wonder Woman, creating these spider-like mechanical monstrosities. And the Wonder Woman one might even qualify as a future version of Wonder Woman itself, although it is kinda just a lifeless robot parasite thing. Either way, to try and prevent this horrible future from taking place, Terry McGinnis, aka Batman Beyond, has to go back in time and change the course of history. But in the new reality he creates is where, or rather when, we see this future version of Wonder Woman taking on the mantle of God of War. During a one-shot called Wonder Woman Future's End, Nemesis feels threatened by Diana and entraps her in a state of illusion of perpetual war, where she stays for some time. But when Superman drags her out of this illusion, she realizes that she'd prefer to use her powers for peace, and therefore becomes known as Peace instead of War. And this all comes before she's eventually, unfortunately, killed in battle with Brother Eye.
Number 5, Aurora of Themyscira. Comics seem to continuously supply us with things we never thought we needed. In a moment not likely to happen again in the near future, the House of DC and the House of Marvel were friends. They could talk, they could play nice, and to prove that, one of the most beloved moments came in the mid-1990s when these two companies joined forces for a crossover. This took place in the amalgamated world of Earth 9602. On this Earth, it was not Diana Prince who became Wonder Woman. Instead, a meta-mutant child by the name of Aurora was rescued and raised as a princess of the Amazons by Queen Hippolyta, alongside Diana Prince. The two fought alongside each other as they grew up, but when the time came to choose who would be Wonder Woman, Aurora's natural ability to control and harness the forces of the weather, plus her Amazonian training, allowed her to secure the victory. She went off to become one hell of a hero when she finally left the island to enter man's world. It's such an interesting and surprising mashup of characters, but when you properly think about it, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense that Storm and Wonder Woman could be the same person. Number 4, Injustice Wonder Woman. When you've got to sell a video game, you make your characters badass. And when that game is taking the heroes and villains of the DC Comics universe and mixing it with Mortal Kombat, that's just a recipe for some unstoppable forces. The Wonder Woman from the Injustice series is that unstoppable force. Injustice is essentially Superman losing his family and then deciding that he and other super beings should rule the Earth. His number one go-to person is Diana, and she's basically even worse than he is. Many people have argued that Wonder Woman was the real antagonist of the story. She caused the passing of Captain Atom, one of the best hopes against Superman. She takes the life of Huntress for insulting Superman, is the accomplice in the passing of Martian Manhunter and this low-level guy called Galaxor. She turns Harley Quinn into a shish kebab. She had taken the place of Lois Lane as Superman's lover, turned the other Amazons to Superman's cause, and the whole time she was doing that, she was whispering in Superman's ear, pushing him to go even farther and farther down the path of villainy. Number 3, Dead Earth. Now, I'm not sure what the general consensus on this comic book is, and quite frankly, I don't care because I think this version of Diana of Themyscira is just absolutely insanely dope. The comic picks up in an apocalyptic wasteland in what used to be Gotham. Deep down in the remnants of the Batcave, Wonder Woman had been kept alive in a containment unit and was awoken by a group of humans who were running from a mutated monster known as a Hydra. After saving the Humies and liberating their city, she journeys to Themyscira only to find out that the Hydra are actually her fellow Amazons mutated by atomic radiation after the Amazons had decided to go to war with the rest of humanity who had driven the Earth to its breaking point. The human world had bombarded Themyscira with nuclear fire, even though Diana used the absolute limits of her abilities to stop it. When Superman, who fought for humanity, turned up to try and explain why he couldn't have helped her, we just see how powerful this Wonder Woman is. Losing complete control of herself, Wonder Woman and Superman fought each other to the point of causing a great fire that plunged the world into the apocalypse, and at the end of that fight, Wonder Woman, who was double fisting some kryptonite, brought Superman to his final rest with a hole straight through his chest. She collapsed from the exhaustion, and when she learned of this past, Wonder Woman decided to set things right and protected what was left of humanity from what she once called her sisters. And in at number 2 is Brunhild. Earth 10 is a universe where things happen just a little little differently in terms of our world history. Mainly, I'm talking about who came out on top at the end of World War II. Instead of what really happened, the Axis powers came out on top here, turning Germany and their symbol-wielding fascist party into the world's next superpower. But the only reason they achieved this was because they had actual superpowers on their side. The Justice League Axis, which eventually became the new Reichsman. For this alternate Wonder Woman, we actually have two different women, both going by the name Brunhilde. The first being red-headed and the second being blonde-haired and blue-eyed. No surprise there, but both being extremely capable female warriors with seemingly no weaknesses. She seems to take inspiration from Norse mythology, and for me to back that up, there is indeed a Prime Earth Brunhilde who is the leader of the Valkyries. What's interesting is that in the Golden Age, the Valkyries were enemies to Wonder Woman, but on the Prime Earth, it's actually become canon that Valkyries and Amazons are part of the same race. As such, Brunhilde does have all the same attributes as Wonder Woman, which was probably a big help in taking over the world. And finally, in at number 1 is Nubia. Nubia isn't really an alternate version of Wonder Woman. She's pretty much her own character, and she is in fact the sister of Diana. Nubia came to be in the exact same way as Diana, but where Diana was molded from white clay, Nubia was molded from black clay, and stolen away by the god of war, Ares, or if you prefer, Mars. Nubia was charged by the Greek gods with defending the entrance to the river Styx and the gates of Tartarus, and that on its own should tell you how capable this Amazon really is. Her powers appear to be exactly the same as Diana, and on Earth 23, Nubia actually is Wonder Woman, but seems to be even more powerful with complete access to her world's technology and mystical devices, suggesting her position may be more like Queen Hippolyta rather than Diana. And that's probably the case, because on Prime Earth, Nubia became the new and current Queen of Themyscira, and eventually the Queen of all Amazons. She's so cool and definitely my favorite of all those to have been Wonder Woman.
Number 10. The Wonder Woman family? Wonder Woman has a history. During her teenage years, she was known as Wonder Girl, and as a child, Wonder Tot. On Earth 124.1, advanced technology allowed for all three versions of Wonder Woman to exist at the same time. They frequently appeared together as the Wonder Woman family, along with her original mother, the Wonder Queen. Wonder Girl is introduced in Wonder Woman number 107, and later in issue 113 they introduce Wonder Tot. After asking comic fans to write in letters if they like what they're seeing and they want some more, the creators got a lot of positive feedback and thus created the Wonder Woman family in issue number 124. While not technically Wonder Woman's babies, they definitely deserve a mention. They had a great run until issue number 158, at which point writer Robert Kanigher summoned the entire supporting cast of the Wonder Woman comic to his office to let them know things were going to be going in a new direction. That actually happens in the comic. Number 9. Hippolyta Trevor, aka Fury. First appearing in Wonder Woman number 300 in 1983. She is the daughter of Princess Diana and her husband Steve Trevor. She was born with superhuman abilities like her mother, and named after her grandmother, Queen of the Amazons. She was trained by her mother and became a notable crime fighter, and her father was a respected military leader. In early childhood, she wanted to join the Justice Society of America, but was refused as she was too young and untested. Instead, she and other rejected members, such as Power Girl and Huntress, decided to form their own group known as Infinity Inc. At one point, the Justice Society is possessed by the stream of ruthlessness and sort of become evil, and the youths of Infinity Inc. prove themselves to be plenty old enough for superheroing and defeat their elder heroes. After a crisis on Infinite Earths, Fury has her history retconned as she was rewritten as the daughter of the All-Star Squadron's Fury, Helena Cosmatos. Interestingly, this other version of Fury still winds up getting trained by Wonder Woman. Number 8. Stephanie Trevor, aka Wonder Girl. Like the last entry, Stephanie was born to Diana and Steve Trevor in 1953, the same year Clark Kent and Lois Lane also had a daughter. Also called Wonder Girl, she is half Amazon thanks to her mother's heritage and possesses half of her mother's superhuman strength. She made her big debut as Wonder Girl when her fellow superheroes were held hostage in Central City. After working together to defeat 3 villains, her and some other heroes like Kid Flash and Supergirl form up their own superhero group called the Justice League of America. She has excellent combat skills and is bound by the same rules as Wonder Woman, such as losing her powers if her bracelets are bound by a man. This would suggest that she has visited Paradise Island in the past, or perhaps been trained by the Amazons, but that is never explicitly stated. Later in life, she takes over the role of Wonder Woman and becomes chairperson of the Justice League of America. Number 7. Zod. Superboy. Zod is actually more of a clone than a flesh and blood child, created from partial genetic templates of Wonder Woman and Lord Superman's DNA. Lord Superman, you say? That's right. In this story, Superman is an evil tyrant and Wonder Woman marries him to help bring peace between warring factions. Wonder Woman has stayed behind with Lord Batman, leaving her home universe as the two are in love. Lord Batman was leading the war of liberation against Superman and is eventually killed. Lord Superman and Wonder Woman hate each other deeply, but they get married to kind of make this bond happen, and so they produce a son through genetic engineering to kind of cement the peace between the two sides. It's a really weird way to settle things, probably put a lot of pressure on the kid, but who am I to judge? He's also known as Superboy. Number 6. Jonathan Kent II. Jonathan is the son of Wonder Woman and Superman in a reality known as the Kingdom. John was kidnapped on the day of his birth by Gog, who went back in time to destroy Superman at various points throughout history. Gog held Jonathan hostage inside a chunk of kryptonite, and though he is later rescued by Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, he seemed to vanish, and the gang felt like their efforts time traveling to save him were in vain. However, he actually just slipped into hypertime, where he was watched over by an older version of himself, who is now the guardian of hypertime. It's like manifest destiny. After this revelation, the infant Jonathan was returned to his parents so that they could raise him to become the hero that they have already bore witness to.
Number 5. Fury. So yeah, there are 2 Furies. This one is also from Earth 2, but from a later version in continuity, and is an interesting daughter of Wonder Woman. Her real name is Donna of Amazon Island. She hails from Earth 2 and is the daughter of Steppenwolf and Wonder Woman. Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened with this pairing, or how it happened, or what's going on there, as it was never really fully explained, but we do know that it happened, and that the two had a daughter together. Because Fury is the daughter of both of these amazing warriors, much of her power level comes from their prowess, as well as her Amazonian heritage. She is not only strong, durable, swift, and immortal, but is also known for her brilliant mind as well. Amazons really do have it all. Number 4. Bruce Kent. Bruce Kent is the son of Wonder Woman and Superman from the Superman Distant Fires comic. Because everyone loves when Superman and Wonder Woman get together, settle down, and have kids. It's just what people are into. Bruce Kent, being born of both heroes, inherited many of his father's powers, which means he's pretty powerful. He ended up being sent away, however, by Superman when he was younger, which means that he might not have learned as much from his mother and father as some of Wonder Woman's other kids. However, he's still pretty OP, hence why he's on the list. Number 3. Supergirl. Lara is the daughter of Wonder Woman and Superman from the Dark Knight Returns reality of Earth 31. She's Jon's older sister. She made her first appearance in Dark Knight Strikes Again and was created by Frank Miller. Because she is the daughter of Superman and Wonder Woman, there is almost nothing Lara can't do between her Kryptonian and her Amazonian heritage and powers together. She is an amazingly skilled fighter with a strong will and also possesses abilities similar to her father. Number 2. Hyperman. Hyperman is the son of Wonder Woman and Superman from the reality of Earth 22, the Kingdom Come universe. There, Wonder Woman and Superman would end up together, and once their son was born, ask Batman to be his godfather and also help raise and train him. Unfortunately, the youngster ended up being kidnapped before any of this could take place. Not to worry though, as the 3 heroes would band together and end up rescuing baby Jonathan Kent, getting him back. However, he would end up immediately disappearing, as while being taken, he made a connection with Hypertime that basically gave him dominion over it. He would slip into Hypertime to be raised by an older version of himself and act as a guardian of time and reality, aka Hypertime. Because of his connection to Hypertime, he would therefore also possess the ability to travel to alternate worlds, dimensions, and through time, which I think is pretty powerful. I feel like if you can do that, you're winning. You're one of the tops. Number 1. dream. So, okay, this is a really trippy one, and I'm obviously really excited to tell you about it. Technically, the new, or current dream, if you will, Daniel is the grandson of Wonder Woman. Sort of. Not really, but sort of. Just follow me here. Remember Hippolyta Trevor, aka Lita, aka Fury, who was once the daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve before that Origins was retconned out of existence? Daniel was Lita's son, but he came to be so after her origins were retconned. In a weird way, this makes him kind of Wonder Woman's alternate reality grandson. Of course, Lita, who would go on to get married and become known as Lita Hall, lost her child to the original Dream, aka Morpheus, who knew that Daniel was meant to become the new version of him once he passed on, as the Endless never really died, but instead just changed as time passes. Daniel therefore isn't really Daniel even anymore, and Lita is no longer Wonder Woman's daughter, but still, Daniel has acknowledged his connection and relation to Diana, and because he is a member of the Endless, is one of the most powerful beings in the DC universe. So hence why he's the most powerful child of Wonder Woman. Family member of Wonder Woman? I'm gonna count it. I feel like grandsons should count as a form of children. You know, even alternate reality grandsons.
Number 10. Wonder Woman Dark Knight's Death Metal. Now, although this is technically in the main continuity, the Wonder Woman that appears in Dark Knight's Death Metal absolutely deserves a spot on this list today because she is one serious badass. Introduced to us in the first issue of Dark Knight's Death Metal, Wonder Woman alongside Swamp Thing is a guard of the demonic-looking prison that holds any villain that does not want to team up with the Batman Who Laughs. So it would kinda seem like she's working for him, but it's revealed later that is not the case when she just impales and rips the Batman Who Laughs in two with her new awesome-looking weapon, the Chainsaw of Truth. Wonder Woman's whole goal in this storyline is to correct the mistakes that have been made and to set everything back on track by somehow resetting the timeline. Basically, she's the Wonder Woman we all know and love, stuck in one of the darkest and scariest DC storylines to date, and that is why she is starting off our list today. Check her out for yourself, starting with 2020's Dark Knight's Death Metal, Volume 1, Number 1. Number 9, Bizarra. You can probably guess it from the name, but Bizarra is the Bizarro version of Wonder Woman. Now, if you're not familiar with Bizarro, he is basically an incomplete clone of Superman, which means that Bizarra is an incomplete clone of Wonder Woman. She was created using the powers of the Fifth Dimension and is meant to be the evil counterpart to our Wonder Woman, but I think we all know that Bizarro versions of any hero never really get the job done. Even though Bizarra possesses both the Bracelets of Submission and the Lasso of Truth like her counterpart, she's only strong enough to challenge Wonder Woman in a one-on-one duel, and when it comes to brains, oh man, trust me, she does not even come close to Wonder Woman. As a member of the Injustice League of Un-America, Bizarro was one of the many that was captured by Metalo in his attempt to rule over Bizarro World, but was thankfully freed by Bizarro himself. Now, I think my favorite thing about Bizarra and the other Bizarro copies is their way of speaking. She spoke in a very twisted tongue and always meant the opposite of what she said. For example, when she says, "I love you," she actually means, "I hate you." Check her out for yourself in 2015's The Multiversity Guidebook, Number 1. Number 8, Brunhilde. Hailing from Earth 10, a universe where many of our favorite heroes have been turned into villainous versions of themselves, comes Valkyrie Brunhilde, the Wonder Woman of this Earth that is based on Norse mythology, as opposed to, the original Greek. On Earth 10, all these superheroes we're familiar with are part of the German army and are believers of fascism, so from that you can probably assume that most of them are pure evil. Brunhilde is a member of the New Reichman alongside other dark iterations of the Justice League members, whose only real goal is to rid the world of the freedom fighters and spread their ideals across the land. The New Reichman are, however, taken down pretty much from the inside after Overman began to feel guilty about his past deeds. Honestly, put simply, Brunhilde is an evil version of Wonder Woman that can and will go to any lengths necessary to get the job done. Give her story a read for yourself, starting with her first appearance in 2015's The Multiversity Guidebook, Number 1. Number 7, Deceased Wonder Woman. Taking place in the Deceased DC universe, Deceased is a miniseries that follows the aftermath of Cyborg's body being used to carry a version of the anti-life equation that ended up turning the general population into zombies. In this miniseries, we see Wonder Woman become a member of the Unliving, which is basically DC's equivalent of zombies, whose whole purpose is to spread anti-life by either infecting or killing living things. They show very little signs of intelligence, and they still retain the ability to utilize their skill sets, powers, and technologies respectively to a surprisingly effective manner. The Infective have also shown numerous times of coming up with very elaborate strategies and tactical decisions to bypass pockets of resistance and cause as much death and destruction as possible. Our infected Wonder Woman actually showed that she was able to form coherent and full sentences when she was interrogated by Cyborg, implying that she still has some humanity left in her. However, after being set free, she immediately decapitated Cyborg to preserve any secrets she told him. Honestly, all I have to say is Wonder Woman's strength and skills combined with the mind and body of a zombie makes for a scary hero. So check her out for yourself, starting with 2019's Deceased, number 1. Number 6, Whom God Destroys Wonder Woman. This version of Wonder Woman only showed up in a 4-issue series called Superman and Wonder Woman Who Gods Destroy. This storyline takes place in an alternate world where Europe is still under the control of the Germans, and Lois Lane actually steps up to the plate as the new Wonder Woman in order to protect those around her from the tyrannical ruling of the original Wonder Woman and Superman. Not a whole lot is known about this evil Wonder Woman other than the fact that she betrayed her home in order to obtain more power. And just like the other evil versions of her, her lack of humanity is incredibly evident as she looks down on Lois Lane's Wonder Woman for just being immortal. The story ends with Lois defeating the evil Wonder Woman, and it is revealed that the gods Zeus and Hera were actually playing a game of chess using the world as their chess pieces. And that's why everything is so messed up. Oddly enough though, the story doesn't quite end there because once everyone is defeated, everything seems to be pretty much back to normal. Superman, Lois, and Wonder Woman all decide to live together on Superman's fortress on the moon. Check out this miniseries for yourself, starting with 1997 Superman and Wonder Woman Whom Gods Destroy, number 1.
Number 5, Kaopora. Making her first appearance as well in the first issue, we meet the tour guide to the dark side. She lives in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil and ends up beside Yara on her quest to the underworld. She can make animals do whatever she asks. The only catch is that they have to be animals from our physical world. She also has chlorokinesis, meaning that she can turn the jungle all around, making people get lost, which Yara specifically mentions a time where she did exactly that to her. Which sounds like an absolute nightmare. Maybe that's the reason why I wasted all that time in Ocarina of Time as a kid. Left, right? Damn it. What makes her helpful right out of the gate is her dimensional travel ability, with Yara set on rescuing her sister from the grasps of Hades. I mean, you have to get past the bouncer first, and to cap it off, she's also immortal. So she's basically the best tour guide slash sidekick you can have. Number 4, she doesn't take no for an answer. Okay, so in the first few pages of Future State Wonder Woman, we see Yara Flor battling it out with a Hydra, like the one I just mentioned. She begins cutting the horn off after she takes it down, and then when Kaopora, the Forest Guardian spirit, the friend who I just mentioned, shows up and warns her not to do that, and how she won't allow poaching. But Yara insists that she takes the horn of the beast and plans to drive it into the heart of Hades, twisting until it oozes with thick black blood, and then bring back her sister herself. Okay, so Kaopora says that she can look past the death of a wayward Hydra, but taking its horn simply just won't fly. And Yara responds with, "Watch me." Ooh, I literally said ooh out loud when I read that. I was like, here comes trouble, here we go. And then what do you know, she agrees to help her get to the underworld, but first you have to make it there. Meaning, you have to go through. Number 3, she hates airports. I mean, don't we all? I mean, the best feeling is traveling, but like the worst feeling is also traveling, you know? Especially now, I can't imagine how exhausting the whole process is going to be moving forward in this new, cleaner world that we're in. Well, Yara hates airports just as much as the rest of us. While they're checking in with the demon border officer, Yara quickly becomes tired of waiting. There's actually a pretty funny exchange between Kaopora and the demon. She's looking for her membership card, and then after the demon says some gibberish, she responds with, "I know, right? Definitely feels like a Monday." It gives the readers a good laugh, but not Yara. See, this is the turning point where she becomes tired of waiting and small talk, and she just walks through the gate, or at least she attempts to. See, after a few clicks and pushes of the turnstile, she just tears the damn thing clean off. And then she realizes she made a mistake and then gently and hilariously places it on the counter next to the demon officer, who was just giving her that look. Number 2, the underworld. So the best feeling, like I said, is arriving at a brand new place or a brand new airport. You've made it, you're finally there. The smell is different, the pace has changed, you have that excitement mixed with travel anxiety, it's great. Well, Yara Flor experienced this herself upon her first visit to the main transit hub for the underworld, which is described by Kaopora as this limbo realm. The people that die end up there to get sorted out and then sent on their way to whatever afterlife or eternity they envision. It's a pretty depressing place. I mean, it's full of dead people, very Beetlejuice-like, you know? Guys walking around holding their heads. It's crazy. So when it comes time for Yara to advance in this lineup, she quickly realizes she has to pay death. So while Kaopora is giving Yara a hard time for missing her birthday, Yara tries to steal a coin from a dead man in front of her in order to get through. Not a good idea. And number 1, Brazilian politics. I mean, sure, the underworld is always an exciting time, got a lot of drama happening down there, but what's Yara Flor's goal here? What's important to her besides saving her family from the grasp of Hades? Well, she begins her story going after incompetent, hypocritical, corrupt politicians in São Paulo, Brazil. In the future state Superman Wonder Woman issue 1, it's set in the near future where there's quite a few of these guys zipping back and forth to meetings in their fancy helicopters. So she literally wants to make the skies cleaner. She even gives one of them a hard time, asking about where the money's gone for all the roads. I mean, to be fair, I've always wanted to try one of those Uber helicopters. Maybe I'll do it someplace Yara isn't hanging out, you know? Or else she'll make me write lessons down over and over again like Bart Simpson.
Now, coming in at number 10 is Wondrous Man from Earth 11. Talking about unstoppable alternate Wonder Woman, and of course, a man makes the list. Yikes. Dane of Elysium is from the alternate Earth of Earth 11, and he isn't the only gender-swapped hero. In fact, all the heroes you may be used to are swapped. Here, the Amazons are an all-male race of warriors. The Themyscirians had actually joined with the world, creating a matriarchal society, and this group of male warriors made their way to the Isle of Elysium, where they would remain segregated from the women's world. Dane was their prince, and a hero to the world, until he wasn't. Dane found himself expelled from the Justice Guild, this world's Justice League of America, and banished from Women's World when he took the life of Maxine Lord for controlling Superwoman. Dane didn't take too kindly to this banishment, and so he decided to fight for his honor and the honor of the Amazons of Elysium by invading the United States and battling the Justice Guild, the Freedom Fighters, and the Army of Atlantis. In at number 9 is Flashpoint Wonder Woman. Flashpoint is one of the groundbreaking stories to come out of DC, presenting us with an alternate timeline caused by the Flash. It's also going to be the basis for the DCEU's Flash movie. What I have not heard word on just yet is if the Warlord version of Wonder Woman from Flashpoint will show up in that movie. By all that is holy, I hope she does. This version of Wonder Woman is already Queen of the Amazons when we are introduced to her character, and she's in a bitter rivalry and war with Atlantis and its ruler, Emperor Aquaman, which is a stupid name. That whole conflict started when her mother, Queen Hippolyta, was removed from the living at Wonder Woman and Aquaman's wedding. Diana then took the life of Mira as retribution, and the conflict snowballed until Diana had taken complete control of the UK as the new Themyscira. This version of Wonder Woman is basically the same as the standard Wonder Woman, but it's her feats and her title as Queen of the Amazons that makes her pretty much unstoppable. Number 8, Becca from Gods and Monsters. Becca may just be the strongest of the Wonder Women who have shown up today, and that's because she's different from them all. She isn't even an Amazon. Becca, who was Wonder Woman in the animated Gods and Monsters, is actually a new god. She was exiled from New Genesis following her marriage to Darkseid's son, Orion, a wedding that was interrupted by her family, who used the momentary peace between New Genesis and Apocalypse to launch a sneak attack. When she came to Earth, she became Wonder Woman alongside a vampire Batman and a Superman who was actually the son of General Zod. As a new god, she does have similar abilities to Wonder Woman, only they should be far superior. She wields immortality, super strength and durability, flight, super healing, and self-sustenance, but more literally, she also wields a golden lasso, New Genesis armor, and a sword given to her by Orion that was crafted by the greatest smiths on Apocalypse and is basically indestructible. Certainly a powerful version of Wonder Woman. Number 7, Superwoman from Earth 3. While Superwoman is an alternate version of Wonder Woman, originally she was actually the Lois Lane from Earth 3, who on this world seems to have similar powers to a Kryptonian, but she was indeed an Amazon, wielding the lasso of submission instead of truth, which was capable of forcing others to do her bidding and forcing them to love her. She was capable of not only everything Wonder Woman could do, but she could fire beams of red-hot energy from her eyes, and she could fly, which I'm pretty sure Wonder Woman can do most of the time. She created an incredibly toxic love triangle between Ultraman, which is Superman in this world, and Owlman, which is Batman in this world, of the Crime Syndicate of America, even having a child with Owlman, but promising to Ultraman that it was his, but it was actually some other guy's baby, and it's just this big whole thing, and whew, don't want to talk about it anymore. Number 6, Donna Troy of Earth 3. Just as Donna Troy became the new Wonder Woman in the legit continuity, on Earth 3 she would also become the new Superwoman. But unlike the previous Superwoman, who seemed to have the same abilities as a Kryptonian, Donna Troy was a bona fide Amazon from Demon Island. As the Queen's daughter, Donna was trained harder and pushed farther than any other person on the island. She was expected to become stronger than any other, and when she met Steve Trevor and fell in love, it was her test of strength to go against that love and snap him like a dry twig. Now, having proven herself worthy in her mother's eyes, she set off into the world and forced her way into the crime syndicate of America as the new Superwoman, wielding the lasso of submission. Now, Donna's whole life goal is to truly make her mother proud by eventually returning to Demon Island, slaying her, and taking the throne for herself. Goals?
Number 5. Superwoman. Even as a mother-to-be, Superwoman is really terrifying. Superwoman is the dark alternate of Wonder Woman who hails from Earth 3, but while she is like a parallel for the hero in terms of her place on the crime syndicate in comparison to the Justice League, she is not an alternate of Diana Prince. Instead, Superwoman is none other than an alternate version of Lois Lane, but one who is evil, diabolical, and superpowered. Superwoman possesses superhuman strength, durability, is immortal, and can fly. She is also a master manipulator who comes armed with her lasso of submission, which bends the will of any ensnared in it, making them both obey and love Superwoman. However, her barbed lasso doesn't work on all who she ensnares in it, and some with superbly strong will have managed to resist its control. Number 4. Earth 23 Wonder Woman. On Earth 23, Nubia is the world's Wonder Woman. She serves on the Justice League along with Calvin Ellis' Superman, Batman, Red Tornado, Green Lantern, Mr. Miracle, Vixen, Steel, Zatanna, The Guardian, Black Lightning, and Cyborg, a much more diverse alternate version of the League. Earth 23 Nubia possesses powers that put her on a level similar to that of Diana of the main continuity. Like Diana, she possesses divine empowerment, is an extremely masterful warrior, is immortal, and comes armed with her lasso, gauntlets, or bracelets, and her invisible jet. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, quick alert, alert, we have a new channel coming your way. It is called Nerd Elite. That is right, we are doing another channel and I'm so excited for you to check it out. So make sure you do so, go subscribe, follow, do all the things. Number 3. Donna Troy, aka the original Wonder Girl. Donna Troy has also gone by a few other names over the years and had her origins reworked a few different times. Currently, her backstory is that she was built as a weapon to be used against Wonder Woman, being created by the Amazon witch Darano, vengeful ex of Queen Hippolyta. Donna, however, would overcome her villainous origins and become a hero in her own right, taking up the mantle of Wonder Girl and serving on the Teen Titans. Back in the New Earth continuity, Donna Troy took up the mantle of Wonder Woman during the events of 1 year later, after Diana stepped down in order to do some soul searching. Number 2. Hippolyta. Hippolyta is of course her own character and the mother of Diana Prince, aka our main Wonder Woman, but currently in the comics she has also moved over to become the new Wonder Woman with the Justice League. Hippolyta decided to take her daughter's place as one of Earth's most powerful heroes following the events of Dark Knight's death metal, where Diana basically became one with the cosmos after taking on the power of Perpetua and sacrificing herself to save the multiverse. As Diana rests, Hippolyta decided she should take up her daughter's mantle and has left Nubia to rule Themyscira in her place. Hippolyta is one of the most gifted Amazons around, being a gifted and wise leader, impressively fierce warrior, and brilliant strategist. Number 1. Aurora of Themyscira. This version of Wonder Woman comes to us from the Amalgam Universe, a crossover world where DC and Marvel characters become merged together. If you're a Marvel and Mutant fan like me, you probably already guessed which Marvel character Diana was combined with here. Aurora of Themyscira is a combination of both DC's Wonder Woman and, of course, Marvel's Storm, a famous member of the X-Men and former queen of Wakanda. Combining both the powers and abilities of these two powerhouse characters makes Aurora one of the strongest alternate versions of Wonder Woman we've seen yet.